Welcome back, everybody, to another new Comic Book Day Wednesday. It is December 31st, New Year's Eve. Hope you guys are having a happy holiday season. It is quite possibly the smallest new comic book day of the year. I only have 4 things. I do have an extra, a really fun extra that we're going to get into. And yeah, last new comic book day of the year. Let's get into it. So, pick of the week. Come on, guys. It's got to be Ultimate Endgame. Got to see how the end of the Ultimate Universe, how it starts right here with Endgame issue number 1. Really excited to see what Dennis Camp has in store for us. The Maker is out of the city, and the rest of the Ultimate Universe is in big trouble. Staying in the realm of the Ultimate Universe, we also have the Ultimates series. I've been saying for a long time, this is my favorite out of the Ultimates line. Ultimate Spider-Man, a lot of hit or miss issues, but I think that the Ultimates has a lot more hits for sure. And yeah, I've been loving what Dennis Camp and Jerry have been doing in this series. My favorite kind of corner of the Ultimate Universe, I think. And then 2 Image comics for today. We have Escape issue number 5. You guys know I've been loving this series. If you've been a long-time watcher, this Rick Remender, Daniel Acuna on the art. It's really, really fantastic stuff. One of my favorite series of the year for sure. In fact, I placed it pretty high on my top 10 comic book series of the year video I did with Kai Bucks. So definitely check that out if you missed it. But yeah, we've both been loving Escape all year. It's been really good from Rick Remender and the people over at Giant Generator. Last Image comic for today is The Lucky Devils, issue number 6. A little bit behind on this one. It's Charles Soule, Ryan Brown, the follow-up to 8 Billion Genies. So, gotta back up, catch up, and continue with the series. But the delays have made it a little bit hard. I might wait for it to all be out and binge read it. But that's what we have, man. So, pretty small new comic book day. For the single issues, we just had the 4 things. The pick of the week being Ultimate Endgame, of course. But I did want to show you guys that fun bonus. We have the trade paperback 4. We're taking everyone down with us. This collects the entire series, issues number 1 through 6. I was loving this one, another favorite of the year from Landini, Rosenberg, and the rest of the team. So we're taking everyone down with us. Got the trade and got the 4 single issues for New Comic Book Day, December 31st, New Year's Eve, man. Hope you guys are having a great holiday season, like I was saying, man. So Happy New Year. If you guys are watching this in the new year, definitely stay tuned for the rest of this video. I'm going to be talking about my 2025 reading goals, if I succeeded in them or if I failed miserably. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for that, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. At the start of 2025, I made some reading goals for myself to kind of hold myself accountable and try to focus on what I was reading this year. Now, as we head into 2026, did I succeed any of my goals? Did I fail? Just leave a checkup on how I did just overall in the year, man. So first thing I want to talk about was my goal to read a bunch of Superman stories. So we have a bunch here that I ended up reading. I tried to get ready for the Superman movie and read a ton of Superman this year, so that's really good. We had Superman Smash the Klan, Jin Luen Yang story, epic, really classic feeling, but I think it's really timeless messaging in that one. Trying to get a sense of Superman's supporting cast, so we ended up reading Jimmy Olsen, the Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, Who Killed Jimmy Olsen, the story from Matt Fraction and Steve Lieber. Ended up loving it, got a real sense of who Jimmy Olsen is, a character, before heading into the movie. I thought that Skylar kid did pretty good. Superman Up in the Sky ended up being my favorite Superman story of all time, and I read it earlier in the year. Had to pick up the deluxe edition. I also read All-Star Superman in the year. Ended up not loving it as much as I initially thought I would. Superman Up in the Sky is just my favorite Superman story of all time. This is the one that like makes me cry every time I think about it. All-Star Superman, it is a classic. Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely, obviously, but didn't jive with it as much as I was hoping. I ended up just loving Up in the Sky just a whole lot. Part of my goal as well was to read a bunch of Daredevil. So I'll show you guys on the Daredevil shelf, kind of the, Daredevil collection so far. So we have the Frank Miller stuff. We have the Bendis double omnis. We have a Brubaker Volume 1 Bendis stuff. I just kind of read through them and I loved them, but I didn't have Brubaker Volume number 2, so I didn't want to start reading that one with nowhere else to go after that. So I kind of stopped reading Daredevil this year, but I love the Bendis stuff, and I'm going to continue reading Daredevil into 2026 with the Brubaker stuff. We got the Mark Waid stuff. We have the Charles Soule stuff, and I'm going to reread the Chip Zdarsky stuff as well. I just got in Volume number 1 that I'll probably unbox next week. Now, while we're over here, I want to tell you guys about the Jonathan Hickman, kind of saga I was trying to read this year. As you guys can see down here, the Fantastic Four Omnis, I read those last year and ended up loving them. Wanted to continue with the Jonathan Hickman saga with the Avengers stuff. I read Omnibus Volume number 1. I didn't end up reading Omnibus Volume number 2 this year. That's got to be something I read in 2026. Could be cool leading up to like Endgame or whatever, but got to get into more of the Jonathan Hickman saga for sure. Just in general though, I wanted to read more Jonathan Hickman, and this was definitely on the list. So we have East of West, the epic story from Jonathan Hickman from Image Comics with the art from Dragotta and Martin, of course. Epic, epic story. Jonathan Hickman is definitely climbing up my list of favorite comic book writers. Just really, really epic stuff. I wanted to read some Tomasi and Gleason stuff. So you guys see at the very top up there, we have the Batman and Robin omnibus by Tomasi Gleason. I read that. That was the only Tomasi Gleason stuff I read this year. So unfortunately, a little bit of a fail. I wanted to read, like some of the Super Sun stuff. And then I wanted to maybe read some of the Green Lantern stuff, but just didn't get around to it. But I did read the Superman stuff last year. So now I have the Superman and this Batman and Robin stuff under my belt. Just got to read that Super Sun stuff. That could be pretty cool for 2026. Longtime viewers of the channel will probably know that Jeff Lemire and Ed Brubaker are some of my favorite comic book writers of all time. So I tried to read a ton of their stuff this year. And let's talk about the Ed Brubaker stuff first. So I read Reckless, Book 2, Friend of the Devil. Friend of the Devil. And I love the Ethan Reckless character. So this was a really great read. Got to continue this into 2026 because I have 3 more in the Reckless series that I got to read. So excellent stuff there. I read Incognito this year. Ended up being one of my favorite Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips reads of all time, honestly. Really, really epic stuff here. It's kind of like that crime stuff you know and love from them, but then got that superhero sort of slant on it. So ended up loving Incognito. Just so sick. Houses of the Unholy, I ended up reading. Not my favorite Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips collab. I thought it was still way better than most of the comic books you'll end up reading. Just not the biggest fan of how this one ended. I thought the protagonist was really good, but yeah, just not the biggest fan of how this one ended. And then I read Friday, book number 1, 2, and 3. Fun, kind of teenage detective vibes, but then it has that Lovecraftian sort of horror elements in it. So I thought this one was really great. The Friday character, one of my favorite Brubaker protagonists for sure. And then, if you guys can see it up there, we have the Catwoman omnibus, the Catwoman of East End omnibus. Actually, I forgot I can like zoom in on this thing. Yeah, so you guys see the Catwoman omnibus up there. Ended up loving that. Some of my favorite Brubaker stuff of all time. We have some really excellent artwork in that one. And just a new kind of way of seeing Catwoman as a character. And I just really fell in love with Selena Kyle and everything in that Catwoman omnibus. So really, really excellent stuff there. Sorry, the camera. Oh, I didn't zoom out on the camera. But as far as Jeff Lemire stories, I read Descender volume number 1 and 2. So really excellent in these deluxe editions. We got that great artwork from Dustin Nguyen. I got to continue with this series by reading Ascender, the sequel series. So we're going to continue that in 2026. And some more Jeff Lemire stuff I have on my list, like Essex County. I want to reread Fish Flies. I gotta read Sentinel for the first time. And yeah, so we're going to be having some fun with some Jeff Lemire stuff next year. But I also read this year Royal City. So really kind of heartbreaking story here. I love the way it ended though. Very beautiful the way it ended. Just this story of Patrick Pike, and he's going back home and he's kind of just haunted by his brother Tommy, who ended up dying. And we see the kind of effects that Tommy's death has on all the entire family, every single member of the family. And yeah, just really kind of heartbreaking read, but one that everyone should read, especially if you're into the Jeff Lemire art style. I'm a huge fan of it, and I thought it worked really well in this story. So definitely check out Royal City. It's a classic Jeff Lemire story. So that kind of sort of wraps up what I think are the successful parts of my reading goals. But let's talk about where I kind of failed, just majorly. I failed epically. I tried to read a bunch of manga this year. I only read Vagabond the first 3 in 1, dude. So total fail on trying to read manga. It's tough. You guys know I read a ton of single issues, right, to stay on top of that. And then I'm just surrounded by collected editions that I haven't read yet and I want to read. So it's kind of tough for me to pick out some time to read some manga. I ended up loving Vagabond, right? But I don't think in the next year I'm going to make it one of my reading goals. I'm just going to read manga whenever it comes up, but mostly focused on comics. That's just how it has to be. That's just how it is. I don't know. I'm a comic guy. I'm not really a manga guy. We'll get into manga at some point. And then I also wanted to read a bunch of books this year, but we didn't really get around to it. We did read a lot of Dungeon Crawler Carl. You guys see it, about halfway done. For this, I guess I'm a little like, I don't want to read a 7-issue book series. This is excellent stuff from Matt Dinniman or whatever, but man, maybe I'll check this out in audiobooks after I finish the first book and just kind of, you know, consume the series that way. But a book series that's that long, man, that's a little tough. But I do like kind of one-off books. So next year, we're going to try to read a ton more of stuff like Mickey 7, stuff like Brave New World. I read about half of this year, but got to finish it. And big on my TBR for books is the series Wool by Hugh Howey. I really love the Silo series, so I want to read Wool. And yeah, so definitely have some books that I want to read next year. Didn't get around to too many books this year, so that was definitely a fail. But other than that, dude, I gotta say, I think I sort of killed it on my reading goals for the year. As you guys know, I like to keep you guys up to date with what I'm reading every month. I like to do monthly reviews, of course, and I should have a video talking about my 2026 reading goals coming out soon, but let me know what you guys think. What did you guys end up reading this year? And yeah, let me know down in the comments. Appreciate it. As always, like if you liked, subbed if you loved, and hype if you really want to. Hyping really helps out the videos. But yeah, thank you guys for watching and read more comics.